This is Ruthie DeTucci again for syndicatednews.net, and we'd like to discuss MF Global Holdings with Mr. Reed Kathrein, and the law firm is Hoggins Berman.
That is correct.
Mr. Kathrein's the partner here, and he's leading the investigation of MF Global Holdings, brokerage firm, and we're following reports that the regulators have already accepted and admitted that, yes, funds have been diverted. Mr. Kathrein?
Yes.
Give us your explanation. Tell us in your own words.
Well, there's a number of things that have happened. I mean, the big thing that has happened is that Jon Corzine decided to gamble the money of its account holders. Now, Global Holdings is a public corporation. People own shares in it, and people can buy shares in it. So they basically are shareholders in a company that took a humongous gamble and apparently has lost. Now, companies do that all the time, but what is really unusual here is that customer account money is missing. As much as $600 to $900 million is missing and unaccounted for, and apparently they have now admitted to one of the regulators, who will not speak on the record, that this money is missing. We don't know what has happened with the money, but it has severe implications to the company, to the account holders, to those who bought bonds in the last year. There were at least 3 offerings of bonds of the company this year, and to those who bought the shares of the stock this year. Of course, the company is now in bankruptcy, and the question is, will it ever come out of bankruptcy, and will the shareholders have anything when it comes out of bankruptcy? And at this rate, given $900 million or so missing, I suspect not.
Well, Mr. Kathrein, let's talk about the law firm itself, Hoggins Berman. It seems from looking at your website that you are well-versed and expert in examining problems of this financial nature successfully.
Those of us in the firm have been in the field since the late 1980s, or I'd say mid-1980s. So we've been doing this for a long time, many, many cases. We've got substantial expertise that when we get in there, get the documents, we can pretty much figure out what has happened. So that's not an issue. The issue here is getting access to those documents now, and that's what we're in the process of trying to do.
Well, we noticed that regulatory agencies stepped forward, and we understand that Interpol has been invited to this investigation. Why is that?
Well, of course, the company's investments extend worldwide, and the customer accounts are worldwide. They're not just U.S. customer accounts. So the money is going back and forth, not just within the United States, but outside of the United States. So clearly, Interpol would have interest in undoubtedly there are account movements within their jurisdiction. So it's a worldwide problem, not just a U.S. problem. It has worldwide impact on money spread in many, many different places.
The investors, do you think they have any protection? Will they be able to save any of their investment? Is it protected, for instance, when an individual places money in a checking account and the FDIC protects that money? Will there be any protection for these investors, or have they lost it all?
We're talking about 3 different things. We're talking about investors in the company, we're talking about investors in the bonds in the company, and we're talking about account holders in the company, people who placed their money in the company to be invested on their behalf. There may be some government protection under SIPC in the United States. That is not an issue I'm looking into because we do not get the recoveries on behalf of the investors. That's a governmental process. But like in the Madoff case, the SIPC, which is a sort of an insurance policy where all the broker-dealers pay into it, that is in the process of collecting money and distributing money to the investor. So there may be some protection, government protection or insurance, so to speak, that is available to the account holders. But the shareholders don't have any protection. The only thing that they can do with the company in bankruptcy is look at who else might be at fault other than the company. And now we're talking about officers, directors, accountants, underwriters. So that's what we're looking at from a litigation standpoint. Who are the other people that we can help the investors by going after them for collection of money? And the same with account holders, to the extent that they're not covered by any sort of investor protection regulation. Where can we get additional funds like we have been able to do in Madoff-related litigation, where we've been able to go after the aiders and abettors?
You mentioned Mr. Corzine right at the beginning of the interview. Is he exposed legally? Will he have to answer to the authorities?
Well, clearly he has to answer. The question is, what's he going to say? I mean, I think at a minimum there's huge negligence on his part, but as shareholders you can't sue someone for negligence. As an account holder you can. So depending on whose shoes you're in, I think he does have exposure, and I'm sure he's looking at that carefully. And that's something we're looking at under the various security statutes. If you're a bondholder, his only defense would be that he had exercised due diligence. He's going to have to show that he did exercise due diligence and would not have discovered whatever caused this money to be missing from the account holders.
Have you spoken to Mr. Corzine at all?
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I'm sure he's not speaking to anyone but his lawyers right now.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to speak to syndicatednews.net.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.